This right here has got to be possibly one of the most ridiculous bike upgrades I've ever bought from AliExpress. And that's saying something. I've bought dozens, if not hundreds, of cycling upgrades on AliExpress, but this is the Newboler 10,000 lumen bike light. And just to put that into perspective, a car headlight is around 1,000 to 2,000 lumens. So this small thing here is 5 to 10 times brighter than a car headlight. So later on in the video, I'm gonna go out into some country roads in the middle of the night and see how bright this actually is. And I've been using this light for a few weeks now, and I love it. It's so much fun. It's like attaching a floodlight to the front of my bike. I'll also mention, I'm not sponsored by Newboler. I bought this light with my own money, but it's not often I get this excited about a cycling product. Anyway, I'll show you real world testing later on in the video and how 10,000 lumens compares with these 400 lumen lights and 1,400 lumen lights. And spoiler, the difference between 1,400 and 10,000 lumens, it is a difference, quite a big difference. So firstly, let me just give you kind of a 30,000 foot overview of the light itself. So it's $41 with free shipping from AliExpress. The price and shipping may vary depending on which country you're buying it from. So I have included an affiliate link in the description below to this exact light being sold from the official Newboler AliExpress store. It is essential that if you do buy this light, that you buy it from a legitimate store on AliExpress, so do check out the link in the description. You don't want to receive a fake 10,000 lumen light on your doorstep. So from the official Newboler store, they've sold over 4,000 units with 707 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars. That's one of the main reasons why I bought this light, because of the hundreds of 5-star reviews. I thought, well, it can't be that bad, right, with that many positive reviews. You can also get the same light with a 2,000 lumen output and a 5,000 lumen output as well, which are obviously not as bright and quite a lot cheaper at $15 and $35 respectively. But for only $6 more, you can get this monstrosity of a bike light, and I wanted 10,000 lumen light, so that's what I bought. Now onto the boxing. It comes in a very minimalist cardboard box, nothing flashy. It comes with the light itself, of course, some rubber protectors so it doesn't scratch or rub off the paint on your handlebars, and all the brackets you'll need to attach it to your bars. You also get an Allen key, a Type-C cable, as well as a USB to USB Type-C adapter, which is very thoughtful of Newboler to add that. It's also nice to see a USB-C port as opposed to a now ancient micro USB port. It's a kind of a personal gripe of mine. Far too many bike lights are still being sold with older micro USB ports. The brackets are made of double aluminium, so you've got an aluminium shell, aluminium alloy brackets, and aluminium alloy screws. So this is a really well-built light. I mean, it is $40. It's not exactly a super budget light, but you do get what you pay for in terms of build quality. It does at least feel like it will last a long time. It's made of military grade aluminium alloy, so it's big, it's chunky, it's relatively heavy, and that's also why it has 2 aluminium brackets as opposed to just the one that most lights, like these smaller 400 and 1,400 lumen lights, come with. The light attached to my handlebars relatively easily. It took maybe 5 or 10 minutes. It attaches to the bars with 2 aluminium brackets, which were supplied. One issue I did have though, which is not necessarily the light's fault, but it is a big light, so it does take up a lot of space on your handlebars. So I had to remove the Garmin mount and light bracket in order to fit this Newboler light. I'm sure there's a way to have all 3, the Garmin computer, the small front light, and the big front light, but I very rarely, if ever, use the Garmin on my mountain bike, so I didn't find removing it too big of a deal. And once attached to the handlebars, it doesn't look too bad at all. As you'd imagine, you'd need a fairly chunky battery to power such bright lights, and it does. It has a 10,000 milliamp battery, but because it has such a big battery, 10,000 milliamp, you can even use it as a power bank. And at first I thought, well, I'm probably never going to use that feature. Why would I want a power bank in my bike light? But then I thought, I'm using this light more on my mountain bike when I'm off-roading or on the trails at nighttime. And the last thing I want is my phone battery dying on me, right, in the middle of nowhere at nighttime. So I have quite an old now iPhone 13 Pro, and I have to charge it in the middle of the day sometimes twice during the day because the battery just doesn't last the full day anymore. The Newboler Light has a 10,000 milliamp battery. My iPhone 13 Pro has a 3095 milliamp battery, so the light should be able to charge my phone at least twice. So actually having a power bank as a backup, just in case my phone battery dies, could actually be quite useful. And at the very least, it's just nice peace of mind when I go out and ride at nighttime. There are 4 modes: floodlight, spotlight, highlight, and flashlight. And in these modes, the battery lasts from 4.5 hours to 9 hours, which is not bad at all considering how bright this light is. I'll show you what these modes look like on the bike in real use at nighttime later on in the video. There's also an LED display here, which is really nice to have. It shows you how much battery you have left. Okay, come down. Now, the reason why I like it is because I like that it shows how many hours and minutes you have left, as opposed to just a percentage. However, if you do prefer to see a percent of battery left rather than number of hours left in the battery, you also do have that option which you can change in the settings. The battery estimates are very accurate though, surprisingly so. If my display said I had 60 minutes left on the light, sure enough, after about 60 minutes, the light would run out of battery. It is also IP65 waterproof and dustproof, so this means that the light should be fine in heavy downpours, muddy or dusty trail riding, and even washing your bike, providing you're not obviously pointing a very powerful jet wash directly at it. Probably shouldn't do that. However, it's not IP67 or IP68, meaning you probably wouldn't want to completely submerge it in water. But I mean, I don't plan on completely submerging any of my bike lights in water. Before I go into real world use and show you when I took it out on the bike at nighttime, I'll go through some of the disadvantages to this light because, as it turns out, there are some drawbacks to having 10,000 lumens strapped to your handlebars. Firstly, I don't really recommend this light for city use or where there's a lot of traffic or pedestrians, simply because it's just overkill. Now, there is an anti-glare feature, so these 2 LEDs and these 2 LEDs are kind of slightly blurred out. I'm assuming to stop the light from spreading too far unnecessarily, but I'm not quite sure how effective just blurring out 2 of the lights on the left and right would be in terms of not blinding pedestrians or other vehicles on the road. But the website does say, and I quote, "does not dazzle and blind oncoming cyclists and pedestrians." But I mean, it is 10,000 lumens, and in some ways, they're right. The light really does a good job at distributing light ahead of you in one of the modes, which I'll show you later, but also to the left and right of you, so you get a kind of a better field of view and riding. And Newboler call it a 180-degree floodlight angle. So I see a much better use case for this light when off-roading, because when you're riding on the road, why would you need such a bright light shining up ahead and to the sides? And if you did ride this where there are other vehicles, pedestrians, people around, then I guess you would have it tilted right down as opposed to up here. Turning on the light at full brightness at 10,000 lumens, the battery lasts about 4 to 5 hours, but the light does very gradually decrease in brightness over that time. Now, it's not anything noticeable unless you're really trying to notice it, but it is something to take into consideration. In terms of temperature, when outputting 10,000 lumens for a long period of time, it does get warm, but it doesn't get hot, which you might have expected this amount of power to get hot. It doesn't, it gets slightly warm, but you can still touch it. That's how warm and not hot it gets. So I went on my mountain bike down some dark country roads, and this is what the roads look like without any light, pretty much completely black. And this is the first mode, floodlight mode. And as you can see, it floods light not only in front of me, but also up ahead as well. I adjusted the light here and I pushed it up slightly so that the light shines further down the road. I'll compare this light with some 400 and 1400 lumen lights a bit later on, as I mentioned. The second mode is spotlight, which throws light further ahead in front of me, but not to the sides. Now, this might be more useful if, let's say, there were pedestrians or vehicles around. Still, I don't think I personally would be comfortable using a light this bright if there was anyone at all around. The third mode is highlight mode. So this is probably my favorite mode. It throws light ahead and to the side. Now, this is the only mode where you get the full 10,000 lumens. With the other modes, only some of these 8 LEDs on this light actually turn on. But with this mode, all 8 of them turn on. And we also have flash mode. I honestly don't think I'll ever be in a situation where I need to use flash mode, but I guess it's nice to have nonetheless. And you might be thinking, why would you need a light this bright when you go out on your bike at nighttime? Well, around where I live, there are a lot of frogs and toads, and the last thing I want to be doing is running one of them over. So I saw a huge toad when I was filming that I did not run over because I had a big 10,000 lumen floodlight on the front of my bike. But interestingly, the toad was wearing lipstick. Seriously, he was wearing lipstick. Anyway, let's see what 10,000 lumens looks like compared to 1,400 and 400 lumens. This is the 10,000 lumen bike light. Excuse the brake cables that were in front of the light causing a little bit of shadowing at the bottom of the video, but you can see how much of the road 10,000 lumens lights up. In comparison, this is what 1,400 lumens looks like. It's still very bright, but the light tends to be concentrated more in the middle, and there's almost no illumination to the sides, whereas the 10,000 lumen light has a more evenly spread light across the entire road. And finally, we have the 400 lumen light. As expected, even less bright than the 1,400 lumen light, with a similar lighting pattern with concentrated light in the middle and almost no illumination to the side. The Newboler 10,000 lumen light is my favorite bike upgrade that I've bought, I'd say in the last 6 months at least. Like I said earlier, if you are interested in buying this light, I have an affiliate link in the description below. Make sure that you do buy from a legitimate store on AliExpress. Newboler have their official store on AliExpress. Again, link in the description below to the exact store that I bought my unit from, so it's definitely genuine. And if you're looking for other AliExpress upgrades, you can click on either of these cards to watch even more AliExpress cycling gear reviews, because I've spent my own money on dozens, if not hundreds, of bike upgrades. Some are worth buying, some are not, which I go through in these videos.